Welcome to the Fempire podcast for women building empires where your health, relationships, and wealth rise together. Here we focus on what moves the needle the most. I am your host, Jessica Joy. Let's sharpen the axe and dive in. Welcome. On today's episode, we are going to be talking to Kat Cynewski. She is the founder of Wealthy and Well Global Movement. She is a nervous system business coach who specializes in helping high-achieving women scale to the moon without burnout, really optimizing the nervous system. So, Kat, welcome. We are so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So you and I were talking about what you do and specialize in, but tell our audience, what is your zone of genius and how did you get into it?
So my zone of genius is really helping female entrepreneurs grow in a way that allows spaciousness, ease, like all these fluffy words, joy that you probably see a lot. But we do that in a very intentional way by leveraging the nervous system and really scaling with regulation. And I often use the kind of metaphor of flowing in your business instead of forcing, instead of pushing, instead of this constant pressure cooker when you're in your business and feeling like everything is just really heavy. We do it in a way through a mix of strategy and also nervous system protocols to bring you to a place that feels more easeful as you grow and scale. And my journey into this is really in 2022. I call this kind of my crash and burn year. And I never had a typical, or what a lot of people think about as burnout, as like your body shuts down and you can't do anything. Like I didn't have some crazy extreme health scare condition or anything like that. For me, it was this quiet, but also intense feeling of I'm doing everything right. And I've always been someone who operates more in the fight or flight, more in the sympathetic, more of that, like I get things done, I achieve, I do it, I know all the things, I'm doing all the things. And I often say I did the hustle until the hustle didn't work. And I had done all the 7-figure strategies. I worked with all the mentors. I was in all the masterminds, all of the thing, doing the launch plans. I had launched 20-something offers that year. I had a conference. I had a retreat. I had all the things. I did all of the master classes, the runway, the low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket offer suite, the whole thing. And I got to the end of the year and I was just like, why is this not working? Should be further ahead. And even though I had made good money and I was making good money at that time in my business, it still felt like I was so far behind and I was always trying to play catch up. And what I noticed is through my own journey and then being behind the scenes in so many high-level spaces with women who are brilliant, who are doing insanely incredible things in the world, but still feeling this pressure of always being behind, never being enough, never quite being there, always needing the next thing, and doing it from a place that is just not sustainable. And so many times I've seen women hit insane numbers, hit, 7 figures, multi-7 figures, quickly do really incredible things and then burn it all down or their body shuts down. And I say burnout is more expensive than intentionally slowing down where it matters so that you can speed up where it actually counts. You can actually go faster and do more, but feel better while doing it and really collapse time in that process. Through that journey myself in 2022, I really stripped everything back. I then found out I was pregnant in February of 2023. And so at the same time, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a baby. And I'm also not doing business in the way that I've learned and that I've done it before, and I'm creating a new way. And then when I was 9 months pregnant, I had a 10K launch. I was signing high-level clients, 10K clients from bed postpartum, like 2 days postpartum. And I had my mastermind kickoff call 2 months postpartum, breastfeeding my son. And I really found like this can be done where you're driven from true aliveness, true, like I get to do this, not I have to do this, and deep nourishment.
So many gold nuggets. Yes, I'm completely aligned because there's so many ways that you can build a business. And ultimately, you get to choose how you want to feel in that. And so I'm excited to hear more about your expertise in that because I think that's the dream for everybody. I know for me as an entrepreneur building a 7-figure business, it's been this like, okay, how do I build while keeping my soul like alive?
Mm,
Finding that for me. And staying connected to like who you are and, not leading to the
yeah.
burnout. But what I love about what you said is operating in this way where you're feeling good and it's feeling more easeful
Mm,
makes it accelerate. So not
yeah.
only are you feeling better, you get better results. So
Yeah.
yes, more of this. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the biggest shifts you help people make when we're wanting to feel better while building the business and having it potentially be more successful?
So it's really two-part, and I work specifically with the premium strategy, high ticket strategy, and the nervous system mastery because they feed so well into each other and one supports the other and they both support each other and one without the other doesn't work. So you really need both. And it's very, like, if you think about what it means to be regulated, most people think nervous system regulation is getting a massage, doing meditation every day. Like, that is what a lot of people think. Baseline is nervous system regulation. I've even been seeing a lot online of like, it's not about safety. It's not about being regulated. You don't do big things being regulated. You do them through expansion. And it's like, these things aren't different. Like, regulation is how you expand. It's how you create safety in your body as you're doing big, new, uncomfortable things. Because your body and your brain are wired for safety, familiar, and efficiency. So patterns that you've patterns that you've learned over time are really cemented so that so much of this is running subconsciously. You're not even aware of what you're doing day to day, the patterns, the habits, the decisions, and therefore the results that you're creating. So really all nervous system regulation is coming to more of this state where you're able to tap into that sympathetic, which is the fight or flight energy when you need it to meet a deadline, to speak on stage, to do big things, to up level, to invest in that thing that you're like, this is crazy, to take risks. That's necessary, but you don't want to get stuck there because when you get stuck there, this is when you have chronic stress, chronic anxiety. Your body begins to break down. You see physical symptoms. You're having a lot of back pain, neck pain, tension headaches. This is all from digestive issues. All of this comes from staying there longer than serves you because you're in this survival setting. And what can set this off is anything from, it's not like someone attacking you on Instagram or writing a hate thread about you. Yeah, that could set that off, but it could be just getting an email in your inbox and feeling like, oh my God, like this triggers a survival response, or you're never giving yourself the time to really come down from that. And so instead of actually coming to a regulated state, coming to this more ventral vagal state, which when you're there, it means you're open for connection. How important is it in your business to grow and expand? How important is connection and relationships? If you're in survival, you're not open for really deep connection, for being available to just build relationships. Creativity completely zapped. Innovation, long-term thinking and problem solving, that area of your brain pretty much goes offline when you're in protection because your number one goal is to fight a threat. So this is what leads to, or flee it. So this is what leads to things like really graspy actions in business, like lowering your prices, like raising them and then being like, oh, now I got to lower them because people are signing up like I expected. It's like those quick, like, let me fix this. Those kind of impulsive, quick decisions are what come from this survival energy. So naturally, when you're able to tap more into this, and I teach something called the rise regulation, which really allows you to do this in the moment and recognize the R in the rise regulation method is recognize. So many people, like I said, are operating from really only about 5% of their conscious thinking. So most of what's happening, most of the thoughts that are happening on a daily basis are coming from such a small percentage of what you have available to tap into. So really, we tap into more of what's happening beneath the surface. And we start with just recognizing, okay, when this action happened, what triggered it? Like what led me here? And then we interrupt what's happening in the body. The I is interrupt with specific nervous system tools, which can be as simple as, like, if you have sympathetic energy, shaking the limbs for 1 to 2 minutes. This is something that I honestly do every day because, again, I run more in the sympathetic. So I usually need to get that energy out, and then come into like a 4-4-8 breath is really good for tapping into that parasympathetic, tapping into more of that longer exhale, taps into more of that rest and digest, and brings your body back down to safety. So even simple tools like this, the S then goes for switch. So then we bring in the mind, and we go from, you may have heard the saying, fear is just excitement without the breath. So oftentimes we could have one thought that's running the show, running our behavior and our thoughts, and it feels heavy and it feels negative, but just realizing and noticing, like, actually there's this tiny switch. I'm not actually really afraid to do this. I'm really excited, and breathing into that. It's like bringing the mind on board once our body's on board, and then we expand. So I think of it as like this upward spiral. So we start at the recognize and we upward spiral, and then we find a new baseline, and then we continue to expand up. So that's why high achieving women, we don't just do this like once and be like, oh yeah, I'm here. It's like you consistently do this as you tap into that discomfort of a new level, of a new growth edge.
Yeah, I feel like the nervous system work is an unfair advantage that everybody gets to use. It's
Yes.
like the key to unlocking things, and I love that you pair them in business. And I love the distinction of, okay, which one are you operating in? And having a positive relationship around when you do need to use more of the sympathetic
Mm.
state in an intentional way. And hey, we don't want to operate there too long. How can we shift? The RISE method.
Mm.
Yes, thanks for giving us some little highlights around that, because it makes sense. You can't be as creative or connected if you're activated. And then the
Mm.
graspy, I was like, yes, the graspiness. It's like, oh, we'll try this. No, it's just, you're not, you will not be as clear or of the big picture. It's
Mm.
just, you're operating in a different way. And so
And
I
even,
think, yeah.
and that being said, even the time, like collapsing time, if you
Mm.
think about it, when you are in this state and you're trying to push and force, I'm sure everyone listening right now can think of a time. I'm sure you can think of a time. I can think of a time literally this week. I'm finishing my book this month. I'm launching a live conference. I'm running my mastermind. I'm launching a new program. There's a lot going on, and I'm a toddler mom, and I'm working oftentimes during nap times. So it's not like, oh, you need to spend the day doing this nervous system work and getting a massage and taking yourself in a
Yes,
bath.
yes, tell us, like, how this looks
Yeah,
integrated.
I'll give you an
I
example
This is
this
great.
week for me, because I always say, like, you can have these tools and know this work. It doesn't make you immune to experiencing this. So this is a very clear example. This week, I was feeling a lot of this, like, woo pressure, like I have the book. I have still 3 chapters left to write, and I was planning to be done by the end of the month. And I have a pretty tight deadline because many things, it's coming out of the conference, all the things that weave in these timelines, right? I have the conference, I have all of these things happening, and I sit down to write. It's a writing block. And when I am clear, connected, I have a 5-minute practice I do every time before I start work, every day before I start working. And that just helps me clear the cobwebs, tap into more of this ventral vagal state. So I'm connected, I'm creative, I'm innovative, and my best work is coming forward so that I can collapse time and work in flow state instead of be paddling upstream in a row.
Yeah.
Right? In the rowboat. So this week I was experiencing this. I happened to jump into my work thinking like, I gotta focus. I gotta get a chapter done today. And I jumped in and I somehow missed my 5-minute reset that I always do. And I'm sitting there and I find myself going and doing these like little tasks. Like I go send a DM to somebody for the conference. I go do a couple emails. I go do these like little things that, yeah, they need to be done. But when I am efficient with my time and I'm collapsing time, I have blocks of time where this is my focus. And I'm like cranking out these admin tasks, or I'm scheduling, delegating them, right? And so I notice that as I'm trying to push and force, my mind is not working how I need it to work to write a dang book, right? Like it's not It's not happening because I wasn't actually tapped in, and I was operating from this like fight or flight energy of like, let me feel productive, doing those kind of graspy actions that give me quick dopamine hits of like, oh, I'm being productive and I'm checking things off and I'm getting these little things done. But have you ever done that where you've had a day where you're like, I have this one thing, maybe I want to go live on Instagram. I see this come up sometimes with like going live and doing these really visible actions with a lot of people because that can feel like a scary thing, really, for many people, or like something that they have resistance around. And so by the end of the day, they've done all of these little things and they're like, wait, what did I actually get done? I didn't get the one thing that I really wanted to get done. So that's a really good example of how this shows up in your business on a day to day. And then outside of that, when I do my 5-minute practice, when I drop in, when I'm present, when I'm grounded, when I'm in this more connected state, I can bust out a chapter in literally 3 to 4 hours,
Yeah.
many times. So that's a big difference of collapsing time to write it. Like, how many people write a book in, multiple years, and I'm writing a book in a few months, right? Because I'm able to drop into this flow state and to have these blocked hours where it's like focused work. And that's how you really collapse time, when you're using the nervous system advantage. And of course, like the strategy piece, a whole nother part of this, but that feeds into your nervous system as well. Like having high ticket long-term offers, having monthly reoccurring revenue. So I'm not scrambling to figure out how I'm going to make money every month. That really helps give me the spaciousness, having the spaciousness in my calendar. So these things flow together, right? Like if I was on back-to-back call, good luck. When am I writing a book? When am I doing that? So these two things really feed in together.
Yeah, I completely agree with the structure of the business, the system of it, and then how you're operating. And honestly, however you're operating, you've experienced this. You create that type of business that requires that type of energy. And so I think being conscious of, okay, whatever steps you're taking, it's like a domino of the results you're going to get. So if the steps are operating in so much, you could say survival or the graspiness or sympathetic, like you end up creating less sustainable. Like I feel like the big moves that create the structure and leverage things like books, like events, like restructuring your offers. It's like a longer term vision. It's stretchy. It's that next level where you're going to meet those points of like, oh, I haven't done this before. And so knowing how to shift your nervous system, expand, reach new levels, create the spaces so you can do some of these bigger moves. Like, I think your work just makes so much sense for people to be set up for success. I'm curious, since we've talked a lot about the somatics in regard to structure, now this is a whole can of worms, but what are some of the biggest things you see, like the shifts people can make in their business structure that may have a huge impact, or are there common, not, I don't like the word mistakes, but common things that it's like, this is really bottlenecking you if you shifted to this? Like, what have you seen work really well structurally?
So I have something that I call the cashmere core offer, which is what I teach around product suite. And I really love to see something that you're not only known for, but that is an offer that's high ticket and that is at least somewhat scalable, and having an offer that is also high ticket and scalable. And high ticket can be, different for everyone. This could be a 5K offer. This could be a 50K offer. It's different for everyone. But really what I see is creating that cashmere core offer, something that you're known for, something that frees up your time and creates more impact for the people inside. So this has to be done intentionally. Of course, you don't just say like, okay, now this is my core offer and I'm going to do monthly calls and it's going to be, 20K and everybody sign up. Like that can backfire. But, so you of course need the ecosystem to go with it. You need to be speaking to the right clients. You need to have the value behind the hour. And so I often talk about, if you think about Chronos time and Kairos time, and if you think about the old setting of time of trading your time for money, of like every hour equals a dollar amount. And that brings you to a certain point where, and I see this a lot with clients where they're doing like so many different things and they're booked and their clients are getting incredible results. They love working with them and they're like, I want to grow and scale. I want to help more people, but I physically can't take more people on. Like I am capped. And so a lot of times what I help my clients do is restructure so that they create this cashmere core that really becomes their anchor. And then everything else, this isn't to say you can't do one-on-one, like one-on-one is incredible. I love one-on-one, but it should be priced accordingly in your suite and in a way that fits your capacity, because it is the highest impact. You are getting someone's full attention. That is their full time on one person, and that has to be priced accordingly. So having that cashmere core really allows you to help more people in a big way. And if you think about communities, like I know that you've been a part of masterminds, right? And you've experienced being in, I know we were at an event together, like being in the room with people that are operating at a high level. If we think on a body and neuroscience level, mirror neurons, like you're going to take on traits from people that you're around. So there's so many benefits that can come from a group. And I really help switch that also narrative that says my work can only be done because of the impact. I think of one client that I have. So I have this client who's a breathwork facilitator. She's in Europe. And I remember when we started working together, she's like, she was doing this. She was doing 2-hour sessions with her clients. She goes deep. She does deep mindset and life coaching and breath work. And it's very transformative and it's very deep. And she had this block of like, I can't do this work in a group setting. People only will work with me one-on-one. And I also can't charge those prices like you do. You're in the US, you're a business coach. Like I could never charge those prices for the work that I do. After working together, not only did she launch, and she had tried to launch a group coaching program before and it flopped, nobody signed up. And she was just like, yeah, this just doesn't work for me. So we built her cashmere core that was priced actually higher than her past one-on-one package. She sold immediately within a week or two, 4 spots into that. Her one-on-one coaching price went up almost X in price, and she had people booking, referring, like more people booking in than ever before. So this is something that a lot of people, and I've been there myself, I started out as a yoga teacher and I was like, oh, I could never charge that. Like, I'm just going to have to like do more and more classes and like put more time in to be able to do it. And yes, there's a time and a season for that. I'm not saying we don't do anything and just don't work. It's like, how can you work more efficiently? That's one way, is to have a cashmere core. And that's often something that I help my clients do, is really find that anchor and then structure their product suite around that. So yeah, you can still move on your, like a million brilliant ideas, but you have a core and they intentionally feed back into that core and support that core instead of taking people in a million different directions.
Mm-hmm. Creme de la creme. I totally get behind the importance of the cashmere core, and then
Right.
it still gives you the freedom to have the new things to bring people into it, whether
Totally.
that's a 3-day event or whatnot, and then knowing that that offer is so good and getting their body on board, that they're like, "Oh, this is it's a big
Yeah,
part of it." Honestly,
totally.
and obviously you help her break beliefs.
Yeah,
And then another part that I didn't think about with the nervous system that's huge is raising your prices.
absolutely.
Like, and then you talked about, ooh, this leads me to your gift that you're giving
Mm,
around selling, because your body has to be in it. Like
mm,
that's my take on it. It's like you're in it, you're connecting with them, and if there's a level of like it's for I don't know, like I don't know how to
it's
explain it.
a
You probably
resist.
do.
Yeah.
So Kat has brought an amazing freebie that it's a somatic sales training. And when you talked about it, I'm like, yes, there's so many tactics in sales. And yes,
Mm,
they can work and you can get so good at them. But honestly, especially with women, I think the somatics, like, come on. So please tell us
mm.
about this gift that you're giving and what's in it and what it
Yeah,
does.
happy to. So it's a somatic sales training and it's called the Yes Comes Quick. And it's the wealthy and well method for selling anywhere. It's selling high ticket offers, anywhere from 5K to 20K offers in the DMs with more ease. And so much of this, like what we've been talking about, does come from your body. If you're taking the graspy actions in a sales conversation, this could be like either one, I see people have all of these inquiries and they're avoiding them because they're waiting for the perfect response, the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, and they're kind of avoiding them. And I'm like, okay, first things first, go talk to these people that are interested in working with you. Or the other end is the verbal diarrhea, where it's like, this is more of the fight or flight response where you're like, I gotta give them everything and like try really hard to get them to say yes. And this is when you like give them their whole offer. They send that they're interested and they're just like boom, like you like stampede them with information. So those are two examples of how this can show up when you're selling from a place that is not regulated, that your body is not on board with, and you're taking these actions that are actually repelling your dreamiest buyers instead of making them be like, heck yeah, in the DMs within a day and, you know, saying, send me the link.
Yes, I feel that like that's a double winner because you're learning somatics and selling in DMs, which
Mhm.
is, I feel like, a refined skill set. So
Totally.
total gold. So if you are on the replay, then this will be linked in the show notes. If you're in email, if you're in social media, and if you just want the link sent to you, then just drop somatic sales training. Just reply back wherever you are. We'll get that over to you. Dive in. What a skill set to develop. I can't imagine like a more high leverage thing to do for yourself. And then to find Kat, you can go follow her on Instagram. It's at Kat with a K, K-A-T, Cynewski, Cynewski.
Might
And
wanna link that one.
I'm like, whew, why was that harder than it needed to be? And is there one last thing that you'd want to share with the audience that we haven't covered that you think is something important for them to know on their journey to success?
I would say the most important message that I love to get across is you can do all of the things that you want to do in this lifetime, but most likely you need to upgrade the patterning and the systems that you're carrying probably from a young age. So I often say, like, you are called here to do big things, not just in bigness, but in life, to lead a big life. I actually found this really adorable video of my son who's just over 2 giving me Eskimo kisses that my husband took for me, and I was just like I posted it on my stories, and I was like, "You can't forget that this is the whole point," you know? Like, just for me personally, and this could look different for every single person, but for me personally, being able to be really present with my 2-year-old, with my husband, with my family, like, that is so just as important, more important than doing the big things that I wanna do in my business. And we don't have to sacrifice one for the other. It's not either or. It's not, this is the whole mission of Wealthy and Well. It's not wealthy or well. It's you are not wealthy without your health, without without well-being, right? So you can have it all. You can have both. It's not either or. You don't have to choose.
Yes, which is the whole mission of the podcast. And I love how you talked about it's the repatterning. Like that can be the bottleneck. Absolutely. And
Mhm.
you're circling in these patterns. And I love the concept of a big life and also the pillars in life where it's, health, relationships all coming up together. So,
Mm.
Kat, thank you so much for your wisdom, your expertise, your guidance, and your gifts that you've brought. And thank you all for listening. And if you want to reply what you got out of the podcast, please let us know. I'd love to hear your feedback if there was a nugget that really landed for you. And everybody have a wonderful day.